This week on r/Just No Mill.
I have crippling depression.
Stay till the end to find out what happens when mother-in-law wants to write us out of her will, is shocked when we do not care. I caught my future mother-in-law trying to squeeze into my wedding dress. Spoiler, it didn't go well.
Are you mad, bro? Tell me what you're mad for.
First time poster, but a long time lurker. Hi everyone. I've been engaged to my fiancé for a year. We're planning to be married in December in Colombia, and of course, I'm beyond pumped. It's going to be a destination wedding for us, and I was very happy that I was able to talk him into having one. My soon-to-be Mill is extremely upset about this. I always knew that she wasn't really my biggest fan. She's polite and very fake friendly, but she'll do things like sit on my fiancé's lap, or tuck his hair behind his ear, and cut his food for him. On occasion I actually saw her actually feed him, in public. However, to my fiancé's credit, once I told him that I thought that was beyond weird, it never happened again. Future Mill is very upset about our destination wedding. She thinks we'll all be murdered. IRL, bitches constantly about the cost of her airfare, the size of the wedding, the guests that won't be able to come, the thought of my fiancé getting malaria, the fact that she hates no one in Colombia speaks English. You get the picture. I try to limit her exposure to my wedding planning, though when I do this, she complains to my fiancé behind my back on how she's being excluded. She came over yesterday, theoretically to see our new house, but instead offered the following criticisms. She hates my engagement ring. It's far too extravagant and there are children starving in Africa and people die for these rocks. It's a moist night. Our house is an extravagant display of wealth and just isn't us. It's a townhouse that we got a steal on. I'm getting fat. Need to watch the calories so I can fit into my dress. Future, meanwhile, is bragging about her diet and how she can slenderizing her mother of the bride dresses. This delightful conversation was interrupted by my fiancé asking me to help him put a bed in the spare guest room together, so I left Future Mill to her own devices and Netflix while I helped. About 40 minutes into assembly, I went to go take a bathroom break and headed into the master bedroom, and what do I find but Future Mill struggling to yank my dress over her head, but was freaking stuck. I blurted out what the hell, and she immediately started stammering, oh my god, oh my god, oh god. At that point my number one concern was her tearing the sheer backing of my dress, so I rushed over to help her. It was all for naught as she managed to scratch her way through the back of the dress and completely destroy the sheer material. She burst the side zipper of the dress and got a dirty footprint on the train. I asked her, as soon as I got her out of the dress, and I want to note, with huge amounts of disgust, that she was wearing no underwear, what the hell she was thinking. She responded that she was just trying to make sure the dress would fit me, because if the dress fit her, then it absolutely fit me too. If it didn't fit her, then I obviously had some work to do. Never mind that I just had my final fitting and it had fit like a glove. My future fiancé is very disturbed by what happened. I'm also disturbed, mostly, because I doubt she was trying to just try on the dress for funsies. There was also a bouquet of dried flowers on the bed that wasn't there before. I think the bitch was actually trying to pretend she was the bride, which for so many reasons, is so wrong. She hasn't offered to pay for any of the repairs to the dress. A section of the train is ripped. I have no idea how much it's going to cost until I can get to the seamstress tomorrow. In the meantime, in lieu of an apology, she's lecturing me on spending so much money on a wedding dress, and clearly the trouble she had getting into the dress was a sign to get something less dramatic and ostentatious. It's taking everything in me to tell her to not pound sand. I'll wear my freaking Galia Lahab dress to my goddamn grave and she'd better not say anything about it.
You are fake news.
Mother-in-law stole my chemo. Right now I have a lot of problems going on with my mill. On top of them, I'm fighting cancer for the second time in my life. I was first diagnosed when I was 14. fought it and won. I lived a happy and peaceful life until recently when I had my health checked for job necessities and surprise. I'm 30 years old and I've cancer again. This is secondary cancer, different organ, nothing to do with the first one. Fortunately, stage 2 only, however my oncologist warned that it's aggressive, grows and spreads fast and I could be stage 3 or more in a short period of time, so we had to act fast. Hearing that you have cancer is always devastating, but to me, it feels like something wants me dead very much. I was distraught that I'll have to go through this again. It's a very hard fight, both physically and mentally. Any current or former cancer patient will agree on that. I had a surgery and now it's time for chemotherapy. The doctors decided on oral chemo that I can take at home and only have to go to a hospital to do blood tests and scans every few weeks, which is very good. I wouldn't have the strength to go there every day. I'm on a sick leave from work now and because of the treatment, I am quite weak. I've lost a lot of weight. Before that my wife and we both had an equal share of household chores. Some days I feel better than others, however directly after every receive of chemo even the simplest chores are often a physical impossibility for me. I try to do as much as I can, but my wife has been amazing. She doesn't care at all that I don't help around the house as much as I did. She's like, your only obligation now is not to die. The other day Mill came over to visit. She knows about my diagnosis. I was on the couch reading and my wife was doing something around the house. Mill walked over to me and was like, look at that. Lying on that couch, as if you're on the beach. Aren't you ashamed of yourself, a grown man and lying down in the middle of a day while your poor wife is working as a slave? I said, I just had chemo, I have a headache, I'm nauseous, I don't feel good. She was like, a young man like you and cannot beat some silly cancer. You cannot cure yourself with those chemicals. Nature products only. Later that day Mill was talking to my wife in the kitchen. I didn't mean to listen, but I heard their conversation anyway. Mill was like, you really shouldn't let him take that poison he's taking or he will die. It's poison, otherwise he wouldn't feel so bad. Doctors nowadays are totally stupid. You should seek herbal treatments instead. As all of that came from someone without any medical education and tries to be smarter than she actually is, my wife shut her up quickly and told her to stay away from things she understands nothing about. The next day I was going to take my chemo, as I'm scheduled. I've to take it once a day and I prefer to do it in the morning, because then I feel better in the evening and I can sleep better. But, as I walked into the bathroom and opened the cabinet, there was no trace of my chemo bottles. They were gone. Completely. I asked my wife if she moved them by any chance and she said no. We looked around, but realized it's pointless, because they couldn't fall out of the cabinet and there's also no need to hide the chemo. We don't have children or pets who could accidentally swallow it. Then my wife remembered that just before leaving the day before, Mill asked to use the bathroom. She could have easily taken the bottles with her, considering her words about the toxicity of chemo. My wife turned into a dragon. She was literally almost spitting fire as she got dressed and stormed out to go to Mill's house. I had never seen her so mad before. She came back a half an hour later or so and told me that she demanded my medication from Mill and Mill admitted she took my chemo indeed, and when she left our house, she threw it out. Obviously, it's gone. We cannot search through every garbage bin in the city, but just the fact that she did it blew my mind. My wife and Mill had a huge argument and Mill really thinks she did me a favor. She was like, don't you see he's dying? Don't you see how fragile he's become? It's not cancer that's killing him, it's those pills. I got rid of them. I saved your husband and that's how you thank me, by insulting me. Better go and buy him some herbal teas. Because of Mill, I missed a dose of chemo, which is very bad, and I had to see my oncologist immediately. When I told him I need more chemo, he was surprised and said, what happened to the chemo I gave you a short time ago? You couldn't have used it all already. And I was like, well, you see, doctor, my Mill stole my chemo. He looked totally baffled, as if the fact that someone would steal someone else's chemo is ridiculously stupid. He prescribed me new bottles of chemo and a new schedule on how I'm supposed to take it, and now I keep it in a cabinet with a lock. Even though my wife swore to me Mill will never set her foot in our house again. Mother-in-law wants to write us out of her will, is shocked when we do not care.
You are fake news.
Post history has more details, but basically my mill wants us to have children, and we won't. Hubs finally told her about his vasectomy, which seemed to shut her up, and all further interactions with her had been of the annoying Beck type. Well, yesterday Mill told us all that she had purchased a burial plot for her and Phil, and how she's pre-planned a funeral and wanted to start working on their long-term medical requests and power of attorney docs. All good things. Then she starts to tell us about her estate. Phil tries to change the subject, but no, we have to talk about this as a family. Well, Mill gets this smug look on her face and then goes on about how our estate will be divided up, which basically gives my husband almost nothing, because we don't have children, and the money is to support their family line. Her face when Hubs and I both nod approvingly at this and confirm that this seems like a smart plan. I'm fairly certain that she wanted us to either fight back or cry and make a scene or beg her for money. The person who made a scene was Sil. She's a whole thing, at the very idea of her mommy and Addy not bring her round, because she loves them so much. She controls 2 of her children with money, but not us, and it drives her batty. She sent Hubs an email last night apologizing for her decision and giving him a method of communication about this without me involved. 100%, she was trying to get him to beg her for money or change her mind. So, he popped me on the email and responded, "Mom, OP and I want you to enjoy your money and have a happy and secure retirement. This is your money, you can do whatever you want with it, and we'll never criticize you for your decision about this."
Be gone!
Huh.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
The rest of her kids are already fighting over their bones, but not us. I'm using good manners as an insult.